Hello everyone, I am AratBhat. I am studying in B.Ed second semester at KLE College of Education, Ankola. In today's session, let us learn about ninth standard English chapter Justice Above Self, which is written by Munshi Premchand. Let us first see the who is Munshi Premchand. Later, we will discuss about the chapter Justice Above Self. Dhanpat Rai Srivastav, a better known by his pen name Munshi Premchand, was an Indian writer famous for his modern Hindi Urdu literature. He is most celebrated writers of the Indian subcontinent and is regarded as one of the foremost Hindi writers of the early 20th century. He was born in 31st July 1880 Lamhi, Varanasi and was died on 8th October 1936 at Varanasi. Let us see the introduction to the story. Justice Above Self is translated from Hindi into English. It is originally known as Panch Parmeshwar, which is written by Munshi Premchand. In English, the title is Holy Panchayat. The story revolves around two best friends, Juman and Algu. It deals with their role as Sarpanch in the village, Panchayat, and how one changes as soon as he or she is delivering justice. Let us see characters in the story. One is Juman and another one is Algu and Juman's aunt. Let us see the chapter. Juman Sheikh and Algu Chowdhury were good friends. So strong was their bond of friendship that when either of them went away from the village, the other looked after his family. Both were greatly respected in the village. Jumman had an old aunt who had some property. This she transferred to him on the understanding that she would stay with him and he would look after her. The arrangement worked well for a couple of years, but thereafter the situation changed. Juman and his family were tired of the old relative. Juman became as indifferent to her as his wife, who grudged even the little food that the old lady needed for survival. She swallowed these insults along with her food for a few months. But patience has its limits. One day she spoke to Juman. My son, it is now obvious that I am not wanted in your house. Kindly give me a monthly allowance so that I can set up a separate kitchen. My wife knows best how to run the house. Be patient, said Juman shamelessly. This made his aunt angry and she decided to take her case to the village panchayat. The old lady went about meeting people explaining her case. Some sympathized with her, others laughed at her. A few others advised her to make it up with her nephew and his wife. At last, she came to Alghu Chowdhury and spoke to him. You know, Chachi, Juman is my best friend. How can I go against him? Algu said. But is it right, my son, to keep mum and not say what you consider just and fair? Pleaded the old lady. Come to the panchayat and speak the truth, she said. Algu did not reply, but her words kept ringing in his ears. The panchayat was held under the old banyan tree. Juman stood up and said, The voice of the panch is the voice of the god. Let my aunt nominate the head panch. I will abide by her decision. I nominate Algu Chowdhury as the head panch. The panch knows neither enemy nor friend, stated the old lady. Fine, replied Juman, hiding his joy over this unexpected piece of luck. Chachi, you are aware of my friendship with Juman, said Algu. Yes, but I also know that you will not kill your conscience for the sake of friendship. God lives in the heart of the punch, and his voice is the voice of God. The old lady explained her case. What have to say in your defense? Asked Algu to Juman. Juman narrated how his aunt transferred her property and how he promised her to look after her as long she lived. But of late there have been quarrels between my wife and aunt. Now my aunt is claiming a monthly allowance from me which I can't pay. That's all I have to say. He concluded his submission. After consulting others, Algu announced, "We are of the opinion that Juman must pay his aunt a monthly allowance or else the property goes back to her." Now the friends were seldom seen together. The bond of friendship was broken. In fact, Juman saw Algu as an enemy and wanted to take revenge. Days passed, and as ill luck would have it, Algu Chowdhury was in a tight spot. He sold one of his bullock to Sanju Saho, a cart driver of the village. The understanding was that Sahu would pay the price of the bullock in a month's time. It is so happened that the bullock sold by the Algu died within a month. Several months after the death of the bullock, Algu reminded Saho of the money he had not yet paid. "I can't pay you a penny for the wretched beast you sold me." "He brought us nothing but ruins," Saho said angrily. Algu decided to take the case to the panchayat. The panchayat was held under the old banyan tree. Algu stood up and said, "The voice of the punch is the voice of God. Let Sahu nominate the head punch. I will abide by his decision." Sahu saw his chance and proposed the name of the Juman. Algu's heart sank and he turned pale. The moment Juman became the head punch, he realized his responsibility as a judge, the dignity of his office. Could he seated in that high place? Have he his revenge now? Let's see. He decided not to allow his personal feelings to come in the way of speaking the truth and doing justice. Both Algu and Saho presented their cases. Then Juman stood up and announced, "It is our opinion that Sahu should pay Algu the price of the bullock. When Sahu bought the bullock, it suffered from no disability or disease. The death of the bullock was unfortunate, but Algu cannot be blamed for it." Algu could not contain his feelings. He said loudly, "Victory to the panchayat. This is justice. God lives in the voice of the punch." Soon after, Juman came to Algu, embraced him and said, "Since the last panchayat, I had become your enemy. Today I realized what it meant to be a punch. A punch knows no friend or enemy, but only justice. Let no one deviate from the path of the justice, truth for friendship or enmity." Algu was also in tears. His tears washed away all the dirt of misunderstanding between them. It completes the chapter Justice Above Self. Thank you.